Yeah. 1 2 1 2. Check, check. You already know what it is. Moorish MC. Yeah, yo. All praise due to Allah, no bow ties. On my tracks, rappers get the warp speed blow bars. Stay in my lane around corners, one man, no eyes. Cyclops Bay, covenant not new like polites. Running a fraud, you paid 4,300. Lord, this in the legend. Typical coon and reverence, but people support getting played, robbed for birthrights. It's not about fiat, your energy quenches their thirst, right? Vampires and warlocks speak with finesse in their speech. Subconscious mind traps won't release, detecting a breach. They dissing their prophet, Drew Ali, they dissing their creed. Before you follow dirty Moors, listen to me. Every Moor is not your bro, most of them sold out. Ask Khalid, Malcolm, Shabazz, and the ones that know about getting stabbed in their back for talking about rights. Minus the civil, notwithstanding, like a cripple. You better think nowadays, fam, use your head. The only savior is you, the priesthood is dead. You better think nowadays, fam, use your head. The only savior is you, priesthood is dead. You better think nowadays, fam, use your head. The only savior is you, priesthood is dead. You better think nowadays, fam, use your head. The only savior is you. Middlemen come calling themselves prophets and godsends, claiming they're sovereign, following hillbilly nonsense, saying Moors are wrong, taking things out of context. Stupidity of conscious blacks is an inferior complex, following leaders that won't go with you off the cliff, lying about slavery and even about slave ships, robbing the ignorant, saying papers filed federal under the jurisdiction of attorney generals, claiming straw men for credit in a debt system. Yes, bonds from the treasury are really from the IMF. I am just saying what I see from the conscious, begging for donations while acting obnoxious with no solutions. 1,500 for service products that cost 50 cents to print. These black devils are off their rockers. They don't feel awkward giving state ID to coppers. Highwaymen think killing the bay is gonna stop us. You better think nowadays, fam, use your head. The only savior is you, priesthood is dead. You better think nowadays, fam, use your head. The only savior is you, priesthood is dead. You better think nowadays, fam, use your head. The only savior is you, priesthood is dead. You better think nowadays, fam, use your head. The only savior is you, priesthood is dead.
We declare our rights on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary.
Black History Month you find ridiculous.
You're gonna relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? No, well, come on. Tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man.
Yeah. So that was Iron Sheik 6. Open Says MC. And you could get that at willofalah.com. If you want anything Iron Sheik music, willofalah.com. Islam to all the Moors online. Peace and love. We're doing the usual Canaanland Moors class. I want to say Islam to the Moors all over the world that know that they're Moors. In 2016, there's people in Afghanistan that know that they're Moors. Right now, 2016, right now. Like they know they're Moors. And they look like us, they don't look like pale Arabs or whatever. There's people in Germany, Portugal, all these places, at these places, and they know that they're Moors. Remember when it was only over here people really knew about Moors, and over there was like, you know, just black people over there. They're finding out now that they're Moors. Then what are they doing? They're going and doing their research. You know, putting little pieces together because, you know, all these people are educated people that went to school. You know, so it's real easy when you have the missing piece of the puzzle, which is Moorish nationality and birthrights. That was brought back to all the Asiatics, so-called black people of specifically North America, that you're not Negro, black, and colored people. You're Moors. Why are you Moors? Because you're descendants of Moroccans. And we're not talking about some flag in North Africa that people say they're the Moroccans and using their flag. That's not their flag. Just like that's not their Bible. And just like that's not their religion. And just like that's not their whatever they got. Everybody in the world, almost everybody, is aware that dark-skinned people populated the planet. From the beginning of time, first people were black people. In 2016, black people are Moors. That's what they're supposed to be called. But they're not called that because the sellout leaders didn't let you know that the so-called people who were in slavery or whatever, they weren't just some people on a plantation picking cotton or whatever like that. There were people who were going around and speaking up about the injustice of slavery. And that, you know, that the slave knows that there's a constitution, and that in the Constitution people have equal rights and all this stuff, and quoting from the Declaration of Independence and all this stuff. How come all these so-called leaders don't want to let you know that now remember, we're talking about slaves now. So if they're slaves, they're supposed to be, they lost their culture, the white man beat them with the culture out of them. Well, what are they talking about Constitution and Declaration of Independence if they're slaves? These people are slaves, remember. Right? Now they know, I say Islam to Sister Akila Tanner L. Right? They know what's going down. It's always been in our face. But we're too stupid to see what's in our face. But as soon as you start studying nationality and birthrights or whatever like that, something happens in here that makes something happen with your perception and how you look at things. So you have all these people with their Birth of a Nation. And the slave guy, you know, they always got the slave hero. Right? European brought some galactic black guy. His powers and stuff like that. Negroes, slave guy is their hero. Burn some plantations, kill some white people, and he's the hero. So, the point being that, and again, you know, black guys put this out, no Kemetic people put this out, no, a Moorish American, Muslim, and a mother on top of that, right? Presented for social media people the fact that they know and how long they knew about really what's going on around here. So she posted this right here. You see right next to his head right there, right next to his chest, that's a fez. In the Birth of a Nation movie. Now remember the whole movie they were playing blackface and all that stuff. Remember the whole movie they're talking about, no, not talking because they were silent movie. They're depicting the Moors being the heads of the government based on the whole blackface whatever. Okay? And there's a part in the movie when they're about to lynch a dude. Remember, all this is blackface. And the Klan pull a fez out from his shirt, implying that we know who you are. This is the Klan now we're talking about. This is the Klan, right? Grand Supreme Serpent, guardian of stuff and all that. So the Klan knows, and then remember we know during this time that the Klan was the mayor, and the Klan was the sheriff, and the Klan was the everybody, bartender, the guy who did the washrooms, who everybody was in the Klan secretly. You know what I mean? But it wasn't really a secret. Because it was always all the men that went somewhere. Coming back smelling like blood and stuff. Because the whole point was to scare you not to be Moors. Terrify you out of your wits to not be Moors. Be everything else except Moors. Because remember, Islam to Mantis views 29 for bringing out the real red pill and blue pill, the real ones, not the ones people got used to or whatever like that on some BS channel. The Moors, the Moorland Moors. Just put it on the record. So, because remember, you've been backing them when they were on the black stuff. Okay, so now that they come out on the Moor stuff now, let's see what people are going to do now. Let's see. Even though they're going to do it now, back and forth or whatever, let's see what people are going to do. You're going to proclaim your nationality now? That red pill and blue pill, put it on the record that when they went to the magistrate, he knew what Moorland meant. And it didn't have nothing to do with black people and all that. So we'll see what people are going to do. Or if they're going to keep playing their game of following these clowns. That's all about robbing them of their birthright. So Islam to the mother for putting this one out there. Islam. Right? And that's Moors. That's how Moors do with information. There's not no hiding stuff or whatever like that. You find something, put it out. You know, $50 for that. Because, you know, she sat through the 3 hours And that 5-second part right there where she didn't blink, she caught the stuff. Oh, I sat up and watched this. I can say 500. Yeah, right. This is birthrights. And when Moors realized that, oh, people know about the birthrights, hey, you know that guy knows about the birthrights, you should go ask him. Did he call his movie Birth of a Nation on some black BS, or was it to bring you to that? Well, slave revolt and stuff like that, was it really slaves fighting people that were oppressing them, or were they fighting occupation? Because remember, Django showed you that the slave master was the guy signing the checks, who wasn't the European. So is this whole thing flopped? Is this whole thing being taught from the wrong side? And the so-called slaves were really Aboriginal indigenous people that were subjugated and were brought over here on no ships. The only people brought over here on ships, they're in Brazil. Everybody else was already here. Then they just go check Brazil and how many black people they got there and ask them how they got there. And they'll tell you they came over there on a ship. They'll tell you. The dark-skinned ones will tell you. Now, if the reality is that they weren't really slaves, they were really Aboriginal indigenous people that were being subjugated, and they're revolting, right? Burn the plantation down and all that stuff wasn't really that way. It was toward they're protecting their birthright. And the whole cowboys and Indians was really that. The real cowboys and Indians was the slave revolt. The real scalping and all that stuff was not how they tell it. Because it's real odd that slaves who came over here on a slave ship and don't know anything about their culture or whatever, they are able to basically tour the United States of America and do speeches. Like, this is 1700s, 1800s. And we know that there's plantations going on still now today with quote-unquote black people on them picking stuff. So, right? So the first slave we're going to take a look at, because it's one of those things where, you have to now question, like, if our people are like treated, can't even go into how they're treated, according to story that they're told. How come these people who were going around doing speeches weren't getting no lynching and stuff like that? Like, when I say they have a record, they have a database, the black guys. The black guys, just go online and go check. Slave speeches or whatever. The black guys have a database where slaves have speeches. So, Brother Henry Highland Garnett. Henry Highland Garnett. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. Matthew 23, verse 4. In this chapter, of which my text is a sentence, the Lord Jesus addresses his disciples and the multitude that hung spellbound upon the words that fell from his lips. He's a slave, right? He admonished them to beware of the religion of the scribes and Pharisees, which was distinguished for great professions, while it succeeded in urging them to do but a little or nothing that accorded with the law of righteousness. In theory they were right, but their practices were inconsistent and wrong. They were learned in the law of Moses and in the traditions of their fathers, but the principles of righteousness failed to affect their hearts. They knew their duty, but did not. The demand which they made upon others proved that they themselves knew what things men ought to do. In condemning others, they pronounced themselves guilty. They demanded that others should be just, merciful, pure, peaceable, and righteous. But they were unjust, impure, unmerciful. They hated and wronged the portion of their fellow men and waged a continual war against the government of God. Such was their conduct in the church and in the state. We have modern scribes and Pharisees who are faithful to their prototypes of ancient times. With sincere respect and reverence for the instruction and the warning given by our Lord, and in the humble dependence upon him for his assistance, I shall speak this morning of the scribes and Pharisees of our times who ruled the state. In discharging this duty, I shall keep my eyes upon the picture which is painted so faithfully and lifelike by the hand of the Savior. Allow me to describe them. They are intelligent and well informed, and can never say, either before an earthly tribunal or at the end or at the bar of God, we knew not of ourselves what was right. They are acquainted with the principles of law of nations. They are proficient in knowledge of constitutional law. They are teachers of common law and frame and execute statute law. They acknowledge that there is a just and impartial God, and are not altogether unacquainted with the law of Christian love and kindness. They claim for themselves the broadest freedom. Boastful, they tell us that they have reached from the court of heaven the Magna Carta of human rights that was handed down through the clouds and amid the lightnings of Sinai, and given again by the Son of God on the Mount of Beatitudes, while the glory of the Father shone around them. They tell us that from the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, they have obtained a guarantee of political freedom, and from the Bible, they derive their claim to all the blessings of religious liberty. With just pride, they tell us they are descended from the pilgrims, who threw themselves upon the bosom of the treacherous sea and braved storms and tempests that they might find in a strange land and among savages free homes where they might build their altars and should blaze with acceptance sacrifice unto God. So, slave guy knows that these people left somewhere, came here, and there are savages here. How come he didn't say that they came over here with slaves or whatever? How come he's not talking about that picture with the slaves lined up? Maybe because it's a fiction. But inside fiction there's some truth. Can you point out the truth in the fiction so you could really understand what's going on and why we're in the condition that we're in as a people? Yes, they boast that their fathers heroically turned away from the precious light of Eastern civilization, and taking their lamps with oil in their vessels, joyfully went forth to illuminate this land, that then dwelt in the darkness of the valley of the shadow of death. With hearts strengthened by faith, they spread out their standard to the winds of heaven near Plymouth Rock, and whether it was stiffened in the sleet and frost of winter or floated on the breeze of summer, it ever bore the motto, freedom to worship God. But others, their fellow men, equal before the Almighty, and made by him of the same blood and glowing with immortality, they doomed to lifelong servitude and chains. Remember, he's talking about the savages over here, who were really the Aboriginal and Indigenous people who looked just like him. So the slave story is a myth, even from the slave people. It says right here, he has direct hand in this. He's not a bystander, right? He's not on the bench. He's on the court. And he's saying that the refs are messed up. I think it's a crazy guy. Nah, we're going to stay here, pick this stuff or whatever. Same thing with Harriet Tubman. Nah, we're just going to stay here and just, you know what I mean, sell people UCCs. You know, we're not going to teach them about their birthright. For what? I mean, then we can't get nothing if we sell the UCCs. Like, why are we going to give up the... Right? Yes, they stand in the most sacred places on earth, and beneath the gaze of the piercing eye of Jehovah, the universal Father of all men, and declare that, hold on a second. Now, up here he's talking about the bar of God and Christian love and kindness and Son of God and all this Christianity stuff, and then just, you know, out of nowhere, you know what I mean? Talking about piercing God, eye of Jehovah and stuff like that. Now remember, this is one individual demonstrating that he's not singular. His school of thoughts are plural. Remember, it's a slave guy. Not a slave guy know about Hebrew. So always fact check these people and beat them in their head with their own stuff. Because there's no way you tell me about slavery and all that, and you're pushing that stuff so hard and you don't know about this. That the guy who was there is saying, the Pilgrims came over here, enslaved people who were here with chains or whatever, right? Doomed to lifelong servitude and chains. That's the slave story. But he never said anybody brought anybody on ships. He's also giving you a timeline, because he said the Pilgrims came here and all that stuff. He didn't say the white man came here. How come he didn't say the white man came here? How come he was specific and only Moors teach that, law is specific or whatever. And then history and law go together. And then pilgrim is a historical reference point. But they had a religion. So people been being played. And only Moors are talking up and letting you know what's up. Not all Moors. I wouldn't listen to all Moors out there. You know what I mean? We're going to put our reference out there. rvbaypublications.com. Right? And with the music that was playing in the beginning, the brother speaking at the end, that was Brother Abdullah El Talib Mozi Bey. And his website is moorishciviletter.net. MoorishCiviletter. moorishciviletter.net. And that's for Brother Abdullah. Right. So, yeah, there was a couple more parts from Brother Garnett's thing that I wanted to read. Let us have the testimony of the wise and great of ancient and modern times, sages who wrote and warriors who bled. Plato declared that slavery is a system of complete injustice. Socrates wrote that slavery is a system of outrage and robbery. Cyrus said, to fight in order not to be a slave is noble. To fight to not be a slave is noble. If Cyrus had lived in our land a few years ago, he would have been arrested for using incendiary language and for citing servile insurrection. And the royal fanatic would have been hanged on the gallows higher than Haman, Haman. But every man is fanatical when his soul is warmed by the generous fires of liberty. Is it then truly noble to fight in order not to be a slave? The chief magistrate of the nation and our rulers and all truly patriotic men think so. The chief magistrate of the nation and our rulers and all truly patriotic men think so. And so think the legions of black men who for a season were scorned and rejected, but who came quickly and cheerfully when they were last invited, bearing a heavy burden of proscriptions upon their shoulders, and having faith in God and in their generous fellow countrymen. They went forth to fight a double battle. The foes of their country were before them, while the enemies of freedom and of their race surrounded them. Augustine, Constantine, Ignatius, Polycarp, Maximus, and the most illustrious lights of the ancient church denounced the sin of slaveholding. Thomas Jefferson said at a period of his life when his judgment was matured and his experience was ripe, there is preparing, I hope, under the auspices of heaven, a way of total emancipation. The sainted Washington said, near the close of his mortal career, and when the light of eternity was beaming upon him, it is among my first wishes to see some plan adopted by which slavery in this country shall be abolished by law. I know of but only way which this can be done, and that is by legislative action, and so far as my vote can go, it shall not be wanting. The other day when the light of liberty streamed through this marble pile, and the hearts of the noble band of patriotic statesmen leaped for joy, and this, our national capital, shook from foundation to dome with the shouts of a ransomed people. Then, methinks the spirit of Washington, Jefferson, the Jays, the Adamses, and Franklin, and Lafayette, and Giddings, and Lovejoy, and those of all the mighty and glorious dead, remembered by history, because they were faithful to truth, justice, and liberty. We are hovering over August Assembly. And then he goes on and on. He goes on for like 8 pages or something like that. Going in, just because of the injustice of people being in forced servitude, right? Risking life and limb to prove the point to the people, right? Taking a humanitarian approach to, to the best of his knowledge, what he acquired. And seeing it himself in the 1700s to let his people know that there is such a thing as rights. There is such a thing as constitutions and declarations of independence that these people who are abusing us are obligated to uphold. But they're only going to uphold it if we enforce it. And we can only enforce it if we know it. Or he wouldn't be mentioning these things for these so-called Negroes who are, looking for something to, if they know something's wrong, they just saw whatever his face get lynched or whatever, so they know something's wrong. That was 2 weeks ago. He's still hanging there. So clearly something's wrong. Okay, what are we going to do about this thing? Right? And then again, you had the people who said, we're out of here. And they just went north. And if you weren't ready for the trek, you know what I mean? You're getting a bullet. And we're going to continue going north. Because you're not going back to go tell slave master about where we went. It ain't happening. Dirty Moors. You're not going back to slave master. When we say let's go north, when the time comes and it's us and the B system left, people are going to be siding with the B system. Moors. Trust me. There's going to be Moors that you thought were shoulder to shoulder with you in this. But they're not going against the B system. They're not going against the system of ignorance. They want the people to stay ignorant, because the longer the people are ignorant, the more they can suck or vampire fiat from people. For whatever. Fiat for flight, fiat for whatever lecture fee, fiat for put a seal on a paper, fiat for cards that, 2 months, the ink's coming off of the stuff, you got ink all on your hands from your card, you give somebody, faces smudged and stuff like that. Right? Madness. But that's what it is. Because not everybody understands the truth about their nationality and birthrights. And those are the people who, unfortunately, have issues. Because, you're not seeing Brother Henry going around talking about, kill the white man and stuff like that. How many are talking about kill the white man? About their devils and all that type of stuff. Because No such thing as white man. It's people who are unjustly compromised and people who are in a superior position. And then the defense people who just like to ride stuff. That's all they like to do, just ride. And not pick a side. They ride and just wait till, okay, 5 seconds, they're up by 1. Okay, I'm going to go with that team. Whole game didn't even pick nobody. Waiting to put down your fiat to get big payout. But wait until the last second to put your bet in. Right? It's either you're going to be for the upliftment of your people, right? Which has no bounds, right? Like just like there's no statute of limitation on fraud, right? We'll see. Just remember that Moors been told you so. When time comes down to, what do you mean? They want to know, are we Moors or not Moors? And you don't know how to answer? That's when you're going to realize, I should have been, ignorance of law is no excuse. Take that very serious. Take that very serious. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Zero excuse. And clearly, the so-called slaves knew the law. If they're talking about constitutions and all that, they knew the law. So how come these so-called conscious black whoever's don't know the law and they're dissing law? When the so-called revolutionary kill cracker, kill the white man slaves, the run around and kidnap freaking slave masters and stuff like that, and scalp them and have people's ears as trophy and stuff like that, because they were actually making some headway in getting these people out of here, right? Don't ever think that it's not about being Moors. Don't ever let these people convince you that so-called black people during slavery didn't have knowledge of self. The brother said Jehovah. That's Hebrew. Why is he talking about Jehovah and Christ and Jesus and God and all these different stuff? Why? Why is he talking like that? And then people are going to listen to him talk. Maybe because he's not a dumb nigger. Maybe, just maybe. Maybe he wasn't just one of these guys just, on plantation BS. Maybe he had knowledge of self. And if there's one of him, just like today, you know what I mean? We know that there's Moors out there who know, that could teach and all that stuff. They just don't. You know what I mean? That's just not their forte. You know what I'm saying? But there's Moors out there who, we don't know them, but they're qualified. If he's disqualified, talking about constitutional law and all that, then we have to think that a few more people were on his mentality. Because just like, we don't do this because, you know what I mean? Ain't nobody on the other side of this. Right? We do this because there are like minds. There are like minds. As much as there are unlike minds, right? There are like minds. Oh, and I just want to say Islam to the 1122 crew, which few times I caught it on 44. So we're definitely riding a wave right now. Right? And then either it's 43, which is 7, or 45, which is 9. So we're in the cusp right now. So Islam to everybody online that's assisted in that. When James Lynch gave the speech that appears below, his great achievements lay in the future. Born in Baltimore in 1839, Lynch, at age 24, went to South Carolina as one of the first AME missionaries to the freedmen and women. From 1866 to 1867, Lynch was editor of the Christian Recorder in Philadelphia, a leading newspaper for the supporters of Reconstruction. He resigned from the paper in 1867 to organize for the Republicans in Mississippi while working with the Freedmen's Bureau. In 1871, Lynch was elected Secretary of State of Mississippi, the first African American, right, which they talk about 1800s, right, the warped perspective of Negro, black, colored people, right? African Americans is younger than Jesse Jackson. So, African Americans being elected no secretary of whatever. In May 1865, Lynch delivered this speech at a meeting of the Young Men's Literary and Debating Society of Philadelphia. In it, he challenges Moors to work for racial unity. It is strange but true that we have such men among us. First on the list stand those who set no value on ability of their race and adopt the opinions respecting them that prejudiced white men hold. Among these, we find those who prefer white men as religious instructors, as teachers, physicians, and lawyers because they are white. They are studious in disparaging their own color and paying homage to a supposed native superiority of the whites. Then comes another class, who are always in the market for the white man's purchase. If they are flattered, feted, or pecuniarily rewarded, they will kiss the hand of the oppressor and ally themselves with the enemies or disparagers of their race. Another class is found in those who pride themselves on the color of their skins, feeling that a light complexion imparts superiority. It is questionable whether there is an existence, if it is questionable whether there is in existence a mere contemptible feeling than this, for while it assumes superior over the darker skin, it confesses inferiority to the lighter or white person. Certainly if A is superior and B is his inferior, then a white man who has nothing else but white blood in his veins must be superior to A, and A is the inferior. Those colored persons who hold this idea are holding to that which has been to some degree, still is, the infamy of the nation, on which God is writing with the iron pen of providence in letters of blood a death sentence. They are opposing themselves to God and the defenders of humanity. Still another class are those who succumb to the prejudices of white men, and while they are loudmouthed for their right to ride in railroad cars and visit public places of instruction or amusement, they will not shave colored men in their barbershops, nor accommodate them with a meal in their restaurants. The plea is that they will quote-unquote lose customers, while white men urge with equal force the same plea, that there is no reason why white men shall be expected to sacrifice more for colored men than colored men will for themselves. It is cheering to think that the number of colored men who stand in the way of their race are in the minority by great odds. Still their existence is to be deplored, and if they be dragged forth into burning sunlight of public opinion, their baleful and mesmic mesmatic influence will soon be dried up by its heat. We echo Stanford's thrilling word in reference to our people: action. We want a healthy public sentiment among us, enlightened and energetic, that, like an ever-flowing current, will sweep away the Tories and the Judases from their footings. So Islam to all the active Moors who don't take the BS and they stand up in defense of the birthright, because these people are playing games, right? We have Reverend, I just want to get that part. Reverend Henry McNeil Turner. Henry McNeil Turner. And remember that these are just individuals who were standing up. They weren't sitting back like these people. They were actually going out and presenting to the people really what's good. Okay. The scene presented in this house today is one unparalleled in the history of the world. From this day back to the day when God breathed the breath of life into Adam, no analogy for it can be found. Never in the history of the world has a man been arraigned before a body clothed with legislative, judicial, or executive functions, charged with the offense of being a darker hue than his fellow man. I know that questions have been before the courts of this country and of other countries involving topics not altogether dissimilar to that which is being discussed here today. But sir, never in the history of the great nations of this world, never before has a man been arraigned, charged with an offense committed by the God of heaven himself. Cases may be found where men have been deprived of their rights for crimes and misdemeanors, but it has remained for the state of Georgia, in the very heart of the 19th century, to call a man before the bar and there charge him with an act for which he is no more responsible than for the head which he carries upon his shoulders. The Anglo-Saxon race, sir, is a most surprising one. No man has ever been more deceived in that race than I have seen for the last 3 weeks. I was not aware that there was in the character of that race so much cowardice and so much pusillanimity, P-U-S-I-L-L-A-N-I-M-I-T-Y. The treachery which has been exhibited in it by gentlemen belonging to that race has shaken my confidence in it more than anything that has come under my observation from the day of my birth. What is the question at issue? Why, sir, this assembly today is discussing and deliberating on a judgment. There is not a cherub that sits around God's eternal throne today that would not tremble even where an order is sued by the supreme God himself to come down here and sit in judgment on my manhood. Gentlemen may look at this question in whatever light they choose,
and with just as much indifference as they may think proper to assume. But I tell you, sir, that this is a question which will not die today. This event shall be remembered by posterity for ages yet to come, and while the sun shall continue to climb the hills of heaven, whose legislature is this? It is a white man's legislature, or is it a black man's legislature? Who voted for a constitutional convention in obedience to the mandate of the Congress of the United States? Who first rallied around the standard of Reconstruction? Who set the ball of loyalty rolling in the state of Georgia? And whose voice was heard in the hills and in the valleys of this state? It was the voice of the brawny, armed Negro, with the few humanitarian hearted white men who came to our assistance. I claim the honor, sir, to having been the instrument of convincing hundreds, thousands of white men that to reconstruct under the measures of the United States Congress was the safest and best course of the interests of the state. What is it that the Negro race has done? Well, Mr. Speaker, all I have to say upon the subject is this. If we are the class of people that we are generally represented to be, I hold that we are a very great people. It is generally considered that we are the children of Canaan, and the curse of a father rests upon our heads and has rested all through history, sir. I deny that the curse of Noah had anything to do with the Negro. We are not children of Canaan, and if we are, sir, where should we stand? Let us look a little into history. Melchizedek was a Canaanite. All the Phoenicians, all those inventors of arts and sciences, were the posterity of Canaan. We are the children of Cush, and Canaan's curse has nothing whatsoever to do with the Negro. If we belong to that race, Ham belonged to it. Under those instructions, Napoleon Bonaparte studied military tactics. If we belong to that race, St. Augustine belonged to it. Who was it that laid the foundation of the Great Reformation? Martin Luther, who lit the light of gospel, truth, a light that will never go out until the sun shall rise to set no more. And as we go on and on, you have these individuals who are familiar with certain things that they shouldn't really be too familiar with, because they're supposed to be people coming out of slavery. Where they get all this information from? And if this information was passed down to them, if this information was actually passed down to them from the slaves before them, we go right back to Brother Henry at the beginning, that the people were already here. That's why they had so much knowledge. That's why they knew so much. That's why they were familiar with Constitution and stuff like that. Why? Because their ancestors were the ones that set all that stuff up. Why wouldn't they know? Right? So everybody knew that the issue, the real issue at the bottom line is that there's people that are continually violating, and then they want to charge other people with violating, but not charge themselves. And this is the cycle that's going on. So we have to start thinking for ourselves, using our higher senses, realizing that sorry, there's nobody coming. You better be on your square, because there's nobody coming. Nobody will call, say come do whatever. Because this is birthrights. You didn't ask permission to take that eyelash out your eye that was bothering you when you blink. You took it out yourself. Why? Because it's your eye. You know how much pressure to push. You know how far back in your eye you're willing to go with that Q-tip to get that little piece of hair that's just digging you in your eyeball. That you can't even stand it, that you have to get the Q-tip to dig this thing out your eye. Take this serious, but this is yours. This is the leprechaun stuff at the bottom of the rainbow and all that stuff. This is the Aladdin open up the stuff, open sesame, and all the golden stuff's in there. That's what this is. If you're serious about your nationality and birthrights, then you'll see it as yours. And you'll put time into your nationality and birthrights like you used to put time into all the BS that we used to do. All the time that we put to whatever we used to do. Whatever. Name it. What you used to do before you were Moors. Before you considered knowledge of self, what lower self BS did you do? That you put some time in. That you didn't even question the time that you're putting in. You just put the time in. So why is it different with this? Check the record of all the people who are out there saying that they're teaching something with regard to this. Right? And you'll see that ain't no people who've been, 80 years in this and whatever like that. There's people who fed up, tired of the BS, found out the nationality and birthrights, and they're running with it because they fact check themselves and they know what this is. Oh yeah, and Islam, big Islam to Moorish World TV for finally putting somebody on that we could watch. Islam to the master teacher, Brother Asir, the Duke of Tears, Cordoba L. Islam to the Moor. Finally got something worth putting on there that I could sit there and watch and learn something from Moorish World TV. So Islam to Brother Asir for the class. Really appreciate how you demolished every single question, right? And not only did you demolish every question, but, put it on the record that you're not with the divisive BS that they were trying to pull, asking you certain questions about how you feel about RV Bay publications and BS like that. Trying to create the divisive between when, buddy, you know who Asir is to Canaanland Moors? You didn't check? How come you didn't ask him about us? You like to comment on our stuff. How come you didn't ask Asir about what do you think about Canaanland Moors? And hear what he said. How come? Because you guys playing games. Again, with people's birthright. But you got platform, and platform been going on for, what you got? 60 videos or something like that. And you're 1 for 60? The record sucks. Record sucks. And no different than the other guys. Your mentor. Your mentor, who he has thousands of videos and all his stuff is BS, except the ones where Moors, who are our master teachers, were on there teaching us something worth us going there to listen to your BS channel. So Islam to Moorish world, keep bringing those kind of ones, and we might support you a little bit. Until that, till you stop taking those clowns over there, you know. Because you see, he answered all the right to travel BS questions that you were trying to throw. You know what I mean? How come you weren't going hard? Oh yeah, I forgot. Certain you guys don't know the law, and you always go on the record that you don't know the law. But if you don't know the law, why are you talking so much about law stuff and questioning stuff? You just shut your mouth if you don't know about it. If you're gonna come out your mouth and say, I don't know about law, how are you gonna say Cujo, the Canadian, doesn't know nothing about USA law? Well, you get on the record that you don't know about law. So if I don't know, then you know. But you went on the record saying you don't know. Delusional people. And again, you know, we'll see how much people really get hyped. Because in case you didn't know, Mantis Views 29, that's a Moorish channel. A Moor runs that channel. And the Moor did an interview with Red Pill and Blue Pill. And those weren't the same guys who I seen on the BS channel. Those are the same guys. Totally different frequency, totally different energy. You know, like their name's Marlon. We didn't know that they're Moors. It ain't no secret that they're Moors. Stupid people who want to play, you know, separation in the community. They got Moor t-shirts because they're not Moors. And then you just have a t-shirt but you're not proclaiming your nationality. Or you have a Moors t-shirt and you're not proclaiming your nationality. No, we could have a Kemetic t-shirt because we got nationality. We can have a 6-point star on a t-shirt because we have a nationality. Right? Just like the brother said. You know, we can say Allah, God, Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's all our stuff. We have to be sorry that we know about our birthright. I have to be apologetic because I know about my birthright and other people don't know, and opposed to them trying to know, they're fighting what we know. That's how you say, don't debate us. Go debate Dr. Ben and them people who've been telling you that you're Moors. Go debate Khalid Muhammad who said you're Moors. And he's Moor. He got sense enough to know that he's a Moor. Yeah, we say black people and all that stuff, but I'm a Moor. Islam. Go ask all those people go debate them. Oh yeah, and can't forget about Garfield, who's been commenting. You know, Dagger Squad, Dagger Your Brain Squad, Dagger Your Mind Squad, Dagger Your Auric Field Squad. You just run orgy on all your different bodies with their BS. I told you in the comments, Mr. Garfield, who doesn't claim to be a scholar or nothing like that, you know, according to you don't claim to be no scholar. I told you, pick one of the videos, one of the 1,200 videos, pick one and refute the video. I'm not coming on your show to come sit down and talk about no BS. Right? Because half you people already said that you're not Moors and all that, or, well, we are Moors, but it doesn't matter what you call yourself. So if it doesn't matter what you call yourself, then why you say, what do you mean you're Moors, but you're not, but you don't have a nationality? How are you Moors for the camera? Like, why aren't you Moors all the time? In front of every camera. Because that's the last thing that we were as a people. We were nothing for 700 years but Moors. That's all. We're just Moors. 700 years. The whole world knew us as Moors for 700 years. That's not going to be something that people just wipe out their mind or whatever. That's entrenching the DNA of people from every level. So we're not coming on nobody's channel or gonna talk about anything. If you have an issue, pick a video, refute the video with a video, you know what I mean? Talk in front of the camera and find some clips and prove it wrong. I don't care personally, but sitting down with none of you people about trying to figure out anything until you tell me about your nationality and put it down so we can have a discussion. You're talking about it doesn't matter what you call yourself and all that, and we're black people, and we're Egyptian, and we're Kemetic, and we're all these stuff, and then you can't show anything, you can't put down anything to show that you're that. There ain't nothing for us to sit down and talk about. If you got issue, go refute a video. Pick one. Many topics, dealing with many different schools of thought, dealing with many different instructors. Pick somebody. Anybody on there. We got Skypes with all types of different people. You know what I mean? Pick somebody. You know what I mean? Just pick somebody. And do your going against Kudro against my video. Because it ain't going down how you guys want it to go down. Sorry. It's not. I understand you're wanting to do whatever, but don't even get hype about commenting on stuff. Go refute a video. How about that? Oh yeah, and then from last class, let's put this out there first. We'll just deal with these questions up. Brother Wasim L. So remember last class when we were dealing with the whole divine stuff and all that. So this is an add-on to that class, just so you can have that or this reference point to add on. Right. I self-law master grand sheet. Here's a bit of the info we discussed earlier. Hopefully it makes a good conversation piece. The scientific theory first. OORT cloud. Oort cloud. Oort cloud. Some support for the theory. There are several points of evidence that the Oort cloud exists, though it is indeed still a hypothesis and lacks direct observation. The first is indirectly observational, as proposed by Ernest Opic back in 1932 as the source of long-period comets. This was revised by John Oort in 1950. All you need to determine an orbit is 3 observations of the object separated in time. The greater the separation in time, the more observations, the more clearly we have in its orbit. The more certainty, we have in its orbit. Comets with periods longer than Pluto's must by definition have come from beyond Pluto. Pluto's orbit basically loosely defines the extent of the Kuiper belt. Kuiper belt. So there needs to be a source for these bound objects, and stellar and interstellar ones don't cut it, because if they're interstellar, then they should not be on bound orbits. The second is theoretical. Solar system formation models predict that the formation of the giant planets would have scattered small icy objects into the outer solar system. While some would be given enough energy to completely escape the solar system, others would be scattered out to the hypothetical Oort cloud. Third, we've seen Kuiper belts around other star systems, and it's likely that the Oort cloud is a continuation of the Kuiper belt. So this may be evidence of Oort clouds as well. So if we need a source for long period comets and the orbits work out to this cloud beyond the Kuiper belt, dynamical models predict that the bodies would exist there. And we see similar dynamical structures around other stars. Then that's fairly compelling evidence exists. But you are correct that at present it is not technologically possible to view comets that are members of the Oort cloud that are still on the Oort cloud. Viewing a chunk of ice 1/4 of the way to its nearest star is simply not possible yet. Here's a metaphysical dialogue of the topic, www.ourspirit.com, and conversation with Master Christian Saint Germain, how Nibiru's return accelerated Schumann wave. Conversation with Master Christian Saint Germain, how Nibiru's return accelerated Schumann wave. So that's just some added info. Since black according, this is Brother Ray L. Since black according to science means death, do you think the prophet would or wouldn't have used that literature to understand law? And what would be the best way for a new Moor to declare their nationality, seeing many are saying that this way is the right way, this way is the wrong way? Well, to address the first question, it's interesting that you bring that up, because this would have been the supreme argument of the black guys. If the black guys were really competent, this would have been their argument. How come you guys say black means death, but you're using a book called Black? You guys can't use it now, so don't try to use it now and say that, yeah, we figured the Moors out. They're using a black book, and sorry, you guys already, right? Because we already have the rebuttal, so don't even go there. We're just saying. We're just saying, black guys. If the black guys were competent, that would have been their argument. But see, they're not competent. They don't think. They want to play conscious wrestling. And conscious wrestling means, you have to go down, and then I have to go down, and then he has to go down, and then I have to go down, and then we do that for 5 hours, right? At $10 an hour on a stream or whatever like that, And next week we got, Kamala versus whoever, and they play a little game, right? But when we look at how the book is used, right? If we say, if we go with that, black word means science means death, so we shouldn't be using Black's Law Dictionary because, it's death. All right, cool. Throw it away, whatever, to get Valentine's. Let's get Bouvier's. Let's get whatever other dictionary out there because, it's a common thing. It's a dictionary. It's not some secret holy grail of whatever. It's a dictionary. For me, it's really not that serious. Right? So, Juali told Moors, study law. Go to those in City Hall and the officials of your government. All right? So, went to City Hall. City Hall's telling me about statutes and all this type of stuff. Went to the officials in my government, grand chiefs, grand governors, whatever like that, right? They're showing me constitution, treaties, law dictionaries, and things like that, right? So there's no documentation that he had law dictionaries or whatever, but considering that he was teaching civics, just considering he's teaching civics, right? And we're saying now, in this time, you know, more should have libraries at their house. They should have some books or whatever. You know what I mean? You know, you should have some stuff, right? And then we're gonna go to the Library of Congress, and they're gonna have Jefferson's library in there. And then he got dictionaries and stuff in that library. You know, remember we're dealing with a common thing across the board. You know what I mean? You know, just like dictionaries across the board, not only Black's Law Dictionary, across the board there's dictionary, right? So across the board we can say that, you know, well, if Jefferson had them, and then we have them now, that we're talking about civics, then Jefferson had them because of civics, and he was in the quote-unquote government, all that type of stuff, then more than likely Noble Drew Ali had some law dictionaries. It might not have been Black's Law Dictionary. It might have been. I don't know. But it's a dictionary. And if anybody comes with, you know, those arguments like that, you know what I mean? We tell them, oh, because, you know, black is a pale, and then Henry Campbell Black is the European, and, you know, because black means pale. So that's why it's Black's. It's Black Dictionary. Because pale guy wrote it. Then see what they say from there. They're probably not going to have nothing after that. Because, you know, they're incompetent. The best way for a new Moor to declare their nationality, seeing many are saying that this way is the right way, this way is the wrong way. The best way that they can proclaim their nationality is right before Morpheus jumped from building to building, and he told Neo, free your mind. That's the best way people could nationalize. The best way people could proclaim their nationality is to free their mind. Because this is birthrights. Declaring your nationality is a right you have to do that. You have a right to a nationality. I can't give it to you. We say, we teach, the best way for you to proclaim your nationality is for you to change your mindset. When you change your mindset from Negro, Black, Colored, African, Conscious, Kemetic, Hebrew, Israelite, Rastafarian, Nation Islam, whatever. When you change or you correct your mindset, the declaring and proclaiming of your nationality is going to be natural. You're just going to do it. You just one day realize that you don't call yourself the name no more. You're now this name. You're now this appellation. That's how you know. Of course, people force it when they're not ready, and then that's how they get injured. Because remember, like we said in classes before, you know, proclaiming your nationality is jumping off the Ferris wheel going 100. Don't. If the Ferris wheel's going 100, keep your seatbelt on. Don't try to get off. Right? Just same thing with Moorish nationality. People with nationality try to jump off Ferris wheel. Get broke up and then complain the nationality did something. No, your dumbass jumped off the Ferris wheel going 100. Should have been studying. How you end up on the Ferris wheel in the first place? How you end up going 100 on the Ferris wheel? This is a goddamn Ferris wheel. Right? Oh, out of order. Just doing stuff just because. We're Moors. Because we're Moors, we can, yeah, but you know, you have to use your common sense now. Come on now. You have to use your common sense. Because it's a birthright. But remember, people stole your birthright. And they don't want you to get it back. So if you do get it back, now you're a threat, because that means they don't have it. And if they don't have your birthright, which is what they use to abuse you, because they can only abuse you if you don't have a birthright. But they're using your birthright to abuse you because you don't have it or you don't want it. So when you say, I declare my nationality, I am, and you put them on notice that that's who you are, you have to be prepared to be that. Don't be prepared for them to recognize that. You be prepared to be that. Because only by being that, just like the blue pill was talking about, if you're not mentally defeating them in war, because remember, it's your mind, so you should be winning every war in your mind. Ain't nobody supposed to be defeating you in your mind. So if you win every war in your mind, then every war out here you're supposed to win. Right? When you say that I am, and you put them on notice about your declaration of nationality, like we said, when we came back with the information, we were on national news as Moors. People in other places in Canada calling to say that they saw the news. Right? Now, we saw that as us putting our stuff in their newspaper for free. Because everybody covered it. And everybody talked about Kudrawado El, Grand Sheik, and Moorish Science Temple of America, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, right? Moorish nationality, Moorish nation, all the key phrases. Right? We saw that as them, not us. That's them. We didn't ask to be on whatever. They just said, hey, mic in your face. Oh, you guys thought we were the black guys? Yeah? Okay. We knew that was notice. That went all over the place. Right? So now all we have to do is exercise as what they said that we are. Moorish Science Temple of America, founded by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Did the little minute 30 on Noble Drew Ali and all that. Just because. It's here. We're going to talk about this. This is going to be front page for the next 3 days. Right? But what they were really doing was putting it on the record. And we accept that they spoke up. Didn't do AKAs and stuff like that with anybody. Anybody said that their free national name, obviously except the people who they were going after. Because, in order to go after them, they got to say straw in order to have jurisdiction to talk about it in a negative light. Right? Talk about the situation in a negative light. They need jurisdiction. So they would say straw name, the alleged accused. But other people who they interviewed that were in the paper and all that, they put free national name down, just off verbal. No ID check or nothing like that. Well, if you're Moors, then you say the Moorish name. Some people, that was how they proclaimed their nationality. For some people, that's when they realized, like, oh, because if I said that I was the other name, then, oh, that's what it means to be a Moor. Being a Moor. What it means to have a Moorish nationality is knowing what it is. knowing what nationality is, which is why for the, 50 billionth time, rvbaypublications.com, because that's the online university. Yes, there's people talking against it. Why? Because rvbaypublications.com is taking money, fiat, energy from their school, from their online fake university. That's telling you $500 for a course. When you have courses on RV Bay Publications, every tab is a course. Think about this. Every tab, everything that you press and something comes up on RV Bay Publications is a course that you can take that and then you can excerpt that, right? Do your research on different parts in there and then come up with a course outline that you can teach people about nationality and birthrights, or about astrology, or about Noble Drew Ali, or about whatever, because it's a university online. There's not a website sells cards. Like what? How is it that there's what 20, 30 tabs or something like that? There are 30 tabs, and the only thing that they pay attention to is the driver's license fraud tab, the taxes tab, and the nationality card tab. These people talking against RVB. Like, how come that's the only tabs that they go to? They got 50 tabs on the website. 50 tabs, and then they're only using 3. So their record is 3 and 50. These the guys people are saying are the Moors and stuff like that. Yeah, listen to them. When you go to their website, all they're telling you about Noble Drew Ali and that's it. And Noble Drew Ali says study, study, study. Yeah, we say study, study, study and only mean Quran and 101 questionnaire only. 3 times to study that, them little books right there. 3 times. Study, study, study. You're telling me one of those studies, you can do the Quran, 101 questionnaire, Moorish literature, all the Moorish guide articles in one study. You can do all Noble Drew Ali's literature in one study. So then the other 2 studies, what are you going to be doing with that? Going over that same stuff again in the second study? When you just everything's in plain sight, like he said? Stopped up all the rat holes. They know ain't nothing getting in this. This is sealed tight. That's one study. And keep in mind that people want to give you the impression that some place you went to made you a Moor. Some site, you got your nationality card off the RV Bay site and the RV Bay nationality card. What are you talking about? That's what you're supposed to be asking them to do. What are you talking about? Because you don't have to have no card on there to know that that website doesn't just sell cards. They got books, they got CDs, DVDs. Like what? How is it that's the how's that the focus? Oh yeah, they sell cards. Okay, what about the books and stuff like that? That they're selling those. Not one of those book covers or whatever. You stop saying, nah, we don't like that one, and talk about that too on top of the cards. Nah, they just pick the cards. Why? Why do they directly go after the card? Because that's the birthright. And these people are trying to steal your birthright. So if everybody says, here's the birthright, and then the people who've been hiding the birthright or selling the birthright, 800, 500, 7,000, 350, 3,000, turn it into 8 million, right? Anybody, the Moors we're talking about, who was doing that using what Noble Drew Ali brought, nationality, which he said that is free, right? Because there was no Moorish nationality before Noble Drew Ali said you're Moorish American. Like, Noble Drew Ali brought that. That specific jurisdiction for the nobles of North America. So he told Moors nationality. And then these people are taking nationality and trying to sell it back to people. Now they can't sell it because it's out now, because there's an online university where you can go and find out everything about your nationality and birthright. You know what the best part is? It's free. You know how crazy it is? It's so crazy. This is how crazy it is. It's so crazy that you can take the information off RV Bay Publications, right? You can take that information, do research, like we're saying, like go to every tab, first tab, bam, right? And do your own research, right? Just do your own research. And then you can put out a book on that one tab. That's how much stuff you're getting from that site. Opposed to the sites trying to tell you that that's not the site and their site's the site. And then when you go there, it's Noble Drew Ali and that's it. Like, that's it. Like, hold on a second. Okay, so he said he's Egyptian adept. So if he's adept, that means he's studied more than Noble Drew Ali. How is it that Moors are gonna say that they're adept, right? But all they're teaching people about is Noble Drew Ali. Right? All they're teaching about is read your Quran, read your divine constitution, and all that stuff. Like that's their focus. Okay. Now, prior to that information, what was Noble Drew Ali studying? Oh, he told you in the Quran. The Muslims information from Persia and Asia and Europe and all over the place. Egypt. So if he's going to go over and beyond the call of know thyself, to know thyself, are you just studying 3 books or whatever? Yeah, well, Noble Drew Ali came and he said, these books are going to free your salvation. Yeah, okay. But he also said study, study, study. He also gave you Moorish historical message, which they got history stuff in that. That's going to send you off into writing 5 books. So take Noble Drew Ali and your nationality serious. And know that this is not about papers and cards. This is about your mindset. So I would tell people, go to RV Bay, stay there a year. Okay, you don't want to do that. Okay, fine. Go to Canaanland Moors, Back to Basics class in the playlist. Back to Basics, 25 classes. Watch those 25 classes in their entirety, including your studying. Since you don't want to go RV Bay for a year and read for a year, then okay, fine. Watch something for a year. Watch those Back to Basics classes. It's 30 classes, but there's a main 25 that you'll get the theme of which classes are the 25 classes, right? Once you watch those classes, you should be ready to declare and proclaim your nationality, no questions asked. Because, and that's why we did that. because everybody wants to. So what should I study? What should I do? Well, the site is so extensive. Like, where do I start? How about the top? How about push the first thing that you can click and start there? Yeah, but but I have court tomorrow. And all right. Oh, that's why you want to go on this website. Sorry, that's not what this website is for. Even though, there is things on there that would help you out tomorrow, but it's like, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to attempt with lack of knowledge. Because when you're in there backing down, yeah, man, I got jurisdiction and la la la. You don't got no jurisdiction over me or whatever like that. And they say jump, and you say how high? No, you just gave them jurisdiction. And then there you go. Now you have to deal with them. Because now they know that you don't know. Now they know that you're from. They know that. Oh, we thought you had us by the skin of our. We thought it was over. But now we know you're playing because you don't know your birthright. We're going to give you psychological assessment and we're going to do all this madness to you or stuff like that just to show you. Let's see if you're really a Moor. Let's put you let's put you through some Guantanamo Bay and see if you're going to say you're a Moor after that. If you're a Moor. You really a Moor? Are you really a Moor? Let's see how long you'll be a Moor when you put the sledgehammer to your fingers. Let's see if you're going to go back to being Negro. Let's see if we start taking fingers, you're going to still say that you're a Moor? Yeah, but all I got was a traffic ticket or whatever. These are the Trump years. We're testing everybody because there's so much dirty stuff going on around there, whatever like that. Cleaning up the government, cleaning up all the stuff. Heard y'all took Noble Drew all these treasury money. Didn't he tell y'all that, he's going to make the government enforce his stuff? Don't forget Noble Drew all, don't forget all the stuff got signed by the mayors and stuff like that, so they already know what's up. They already know what's up. And they're letting you know how they're going to be dealing with stateless people. They're letting you know how they're going to be dealing with stateless people. Keep playing stateless. Keep playing it doesn't matter what you call yourself, no nationality. And remember, keep in mind, nationality is not a paper or a card. Somebody can't give you some papers that's going to make you a Moor. If you do that, they just played you. They just got you for how much ever you paid for that paper. Like they got you. They got you good too. Why? Because we told you to go on RV Bay, stay there for a year. Oh, you didn't want to do that? Okay, go watch Back to Basics, 25 classes. Don't move from there until the 25 classes are done. Every week, pick a day. It's only 2 hours. Pick a day, 25 days, 2 hours a day, and watch a class for 25 days, a month. We're not even saying a year. We compacted it down to a month. We put your year's worth of grass into one tablet. So you don't have to eat all that grass. You just pop these 25 tablets in a month. You're going to be nationality ready. Guaranteed. Never fails. Ask the people who went through the 25 classes that know that they're Moors right now. Just because they humbled themselves, all the stuff they thought that they knew or whatever like that, threw it out. What did they do? Just like right before when Morpheus jumped the buildings. He told Neo, free your mind. They came into the Moorish Science Temple of America, where they went to other ones and heard BS and all that stuff and heard singing and clapping or whatever. They came to the Moorish Science Temple of America. They studied. They had their what to study guide. How to study guide. what their tools were that they needed. You know what I mean? Got their tools, you know what I'm saying? Right? And they went through the 25, a month. They went through the 25, right? Because remember, like, all you is 2 hours. That's all it is. 2 hours. Every day. 2 hours. Watch our class. Every day. Don't skip any days. Don't slack. Month. You'll be so filled up with it that you wouldn't even want the card. Be like, card? Pfft, I don't need no card. We're Moors out here. And you exercise your birthrights with common sense. Not just exercise because you know you're Moors and you know that you're the founders of civilization and all that. Right? Renowned royalty. Greetings to all Moors. I'm Sharice L., admin of Moorish Directory, Active Moors, MoorishDirectory.com, ActiveMoors.com, Morgbook.com, RenownedRoyalty.com. This email started as a question, but I feel motion to make a statement instead. There has been countless examples where Moors are recording themselves demonstrating how they enforce their birthright. Unfortunately, the only videos most people wish to emphasize attention on are the videos where Moors are not speaking in an intelligent tone, which often results in them being kidnapped or worse. This is critical. The tone of a situation can relay what the outcome will be. This is why the Prophet instructed us to speak with an intelligent tone in order to receive a favorable reply. With all the injustices we as Moors still have to face regarding these mercenaries of municipal jurisdictions, it is incumbent upon us as competent constitutionalists to always keep the protocol in mind. Due process of law goes both ways, and emotionalism is not something we can afford to succumb to during any conflicts that may arise with these mercenaries. My heart goes out to all Moors who holds a fire of justice and seeks to ensure that justice is served. However, it is not what you do necessarily, it's how you do it. We must exemplify a level head and be in complete control of our individual energy. We mustn't give them a claim to use against us by operating in a belligerent fashion. The law does not require excessive animation in order for the message to be heard. I state this with humble sincerity. Please don't become so prideful with the information you acquire to the point that you know that you are no longer on the right. Heed the words of our beloved Prophet Noble Juali and use him as your standard measurement in your mode of operations. Ask yourself, what would the Prophet do? And if you are truly a studious Moor, the path to take will unfold for you. Also, I would like to let Moors know that MoorishDirectory.com and the Great Seal West have started a civics curriculum covering subject matters such as Circle 7 Quran, the Organic American Constitution, etc. All who are active participants will be tested, and those who pass will receive official documentation from credible representative of the Moorish Divine and National Movement stating that they are truly well versed and certified to speak on Moorish affairs. We are taking applicants now, so if you wish to take part in this curriculum, please email moorbook@activemoors.com, MOORBOOK @activemoors.com. An invitation to our private learning forum will be sent for you to join and be counted among our fellow Moorish peers. Peace, be safe Moors, peace and love Islam. Sharice L. Right? And again, comes back to the same thing about the nationality. That when we look at nationality for what it is, Right? When we look at nationality for what it is, and then we relate that to what Noble Drew Ali presented to the Moors about the perspective of divine and national in everything that you're looking at, right? The clear picture is knowing that birthrights is not something like your nationality as Moor isn't something that somebody can say this is how it's supposed to be, right? Because we do have principles that are the guide for our actions. We do have tools in the workshop of the mind, which is a guide for our actions, right? So there isn't supposed to be the idea of Moors in situations that Moors aren't in control of. Because they are going to do what it is that they want to do. So regardless of what they do, once you're exercising from the perspective of about what it is that you're doing, and you're not guessing, and you're sure about what you're doing, right? Don't look at their response as a testament to what the situation is. Their response is colorable at all times, no matter what they do, whether it's in your favor or against your favor. And again, this is divine first. So don't be looking for some external remedies if you didn't take their head in your mind first. Don't think that, you know what I mean, like you're gonna get through. That's why, again, you know what I mean, even the good Moors' coattails are gonna get scorched. Because even good Moors sometimes have to say, it's like we were talking with Omar earlier in the week, and we were saying that, yeah, Moors have to take themselves outside of even just dealing with Moors and deal with self for 3 days, 2 days, a week, whatever. Leave Moors a bit and deal with the Moor. If it's you and your family on this information, leave Moors and deal with the Moors. Deal with the immediate Moors or self. Just as a detox. Because once you go into that ocean of Moorish nationality, you know what I mean? There's beautiful fish with the tails that do the stuff, but there's also stingrays and stuff like that, eels and all that type of stuff too in this water. So, don't get carried away with, oh no, I'm just bleeding in the water, no problem and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because again, these people out here steal your birthright. So you better know what your birthright is so they can't take it. Because you find an instant where you're going to pretend like you don't know what your birthright is. Oh, they're jumping on you. Whether it's your side or whether it's their side. Right? So Islam to all the Moors. Peace and love. Don't forget 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Blog Talk Radio. MHHS Eyes Wide Open. Blog Talk Radio. Every single Tuesday. 9:30 p.m. Right? And don't forget, you can go onto the archives of Blog Talk Radio, right? Check the archives and go watch go listen to some of the past stuff. Go listen to some of the past stuff. Because there's a lot of information there, just like on the website. And again, those ones are 3 hours, so, your days are going to be getting tight, because remember, you got You got the Back to Basics 2 hours, and then you got 3 hours with all the archives on MHHS. And then, you know what I mean? You know, they got sites we didn't even give you yet. So, Islam Moors, Islam to others do our close out. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Islam. Peace and love, Moors. Peace and love. 9:30 Eastern Time. Blog Talk Radio, MHHS. Eyes wide open. Islam.